Pascal Siakam never wanted to play basketball. He was supposed to become a priest. He spent his teenage years waking up at 5 a.m. in a Catholic seminary in Cameroon, doing chores, studying scripture, not running fast breaks or dreaming of the NBA. But life had other plans. From a dusty court in Bafia to the bright lights of the NBA final, from the G League to All-Star Game, from an overlooked rookie to an NBA champion, Pascal Siakam's journey isn't just rare, it's almost unbelievable. This is the story of how a kid who didn't even like basketball became one of the best players in the world. Siakam's story begins in a small town in Cameroon, far from the bright lights of any basketball arena. Born in 1994 in Douala as the youngest of 4 brothers, Pascal grew up in a devout Catholic family. His father, Chamo, was a modest man who served as a local mayor, and he really valued discipline and education. When Pascal was just 11 years old, his father made a life-altering decision. Pascal would attend seminary school. Now his 3 older brothers had all gone before him, and now it was his turn. He was reluctant though. He had heard stories about the strict routines, dawn prayers at 5:30 a.m., hard classes, endless chores. He didn't want to do it. In fact, he even gathered the courage to protest, a rare act of defiance in Cameroon. You've seen how strict African fathers are. There's no talking back to those guys. So his father's word was final. It wasn't an easy childhood. Pascal admits that he tried every trick in the book to get expelled, breaking the rules, acting out. He was hoping the seminary's directors would send him home. At times, the priest did consider dismissing him, but Pascal was bright and really excelled in his studies, so they kept him on. With time, the rigorous life began to shape him. Waking up before dawn, doing laundry by hand, and living far from his family taught Pascal discipline and independence. Seminary was the best thing that ever happened to me, Pascal later admitted.
My dad always felt like that was the best education for me, and just learning to live on my own, and I think that was the best thing for me.
Recognizing how it prepared him to work hard for what he wanted. Now, Father Collins had always suspected Pascal wasn't destined for priesthood, but the values of perseverance and faith that were instilled in those years would become the bedrock of Pascal's remarkable journey. Now, growing up, his first love wasn't basketball at all, it was soccer. Like most kids at the seminary, he spent any free hour kicking a ball on a dusty field. The lone basketball hoop on campus was old and crooked, hardly inviting. Pascal was in love with soccer and he paid very little attention to basketball. Now, little did he know that basketball would eventually become his ticket to a new life. In his late teens, Pascal did attend a local basketball camp near the seminary. Not so much out of passion for the game, but because it was a chance to get out and visit his sister who lived nearby. Although he didn't like the sport, he was tall, athletic, and had an unknowable spark that coaches began to notice. So his performances in that camp led to another camp, this time a special program in South Africa. It was there that fate intervened. Pascal's raw talent caught the eyes of scouts. He was offered an opportunity to move to the United States and play basketball, an almost unimaginable turn of events for a kid who had learned the game on a dusty court. Initially, Pascal hesitated, but ultimately he couldn't say no to the chance. With his family's blessing, he left Cameroon carrying only a few words of English, but a heart full of hope. Leaving Cameroon for the United States was a bold leap into the unknown. Pascal landed in a place vastly different from home. First, he attended God's Academy in Texas for high school, and then soon after he enrolled at New Mexico State University to play college basketball. At first, he was a newcomer to organized basketball, far behind players who had been training since childhood. But Pascal approached the game with the same discipline and hunger that he'd learned in seminary. Under the guidance of Coach Marvin Menzies at New Mexico State, the shy kid from Cameroon transformed into a force on the court. He soaked up English, hit the weight room, and studied the sport relentlessly. Every day was an improvement. Every dribble, every shot, every sprint was fueled by the memory of his father, who unfortunately he had lost, and the dream he was pursuing. Pascal's impact in college was actually quite immediate. He had to redshirt the first season because he was injured, but in his first actual season, he emerged as one of the best players in the Western Athletic Conference, earning the WAC Freshman of the Year award. By his sophomore season, he was nearly unstoppable in his conference, averaging a double-double. His dominance earned him the title of the WAC Player of the Year in 2016. In just 2 college seasons, Pascal had gone from a raw project to a rising star with an unlimited work rate. He just never stopped working on both ends of the court. New Mexico State fans quickly learned that whenever Pascal was on the floor, he played with unmatched energy, sprinting end to end, diving for loose balls, and through it all, smiling. He just played with joy, even though he was hustling hard. By early 2016, NBA scouts had taken notice of this 6'9" forward who could outrun guards and outwork everyone. So Pascal made the courageous decision to declare for the 2016 NBA draft, trusting that this was the path his father had envisioned for him. It was a bittersweet moment, fulfilling his dream without his father there to see it. On draft night, as cameras zoomed in on his smiling face, Pascal held a close memory of his father. The Toronto Raptors ended up selecting him as the 27th overall pick in the first round.
With the 27th pick in the 2016 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Pascal Siakam.
Pascal Siakam had officially become an NBA player. In that moment, the boy from Cameroon, who once wanted nothing to do with basketball, had made it to the sport's greatest stage. He had done it for himself and for his father.
Like I always say, doing it for my dad.
Pascal arrived in Toronto as a late first-round pick with not a lot of expectations. Fun fact about him joining the Raptors: the president, Masai Ujiri, had actually been at those early camps that Siakam had attended. So when the Raptors selected him, they knew what kind of potential he had. Having said that, he was still joining a contending team, and many fans didn't know what to expect of this lanky kid with a big grin on his face. So Pascal focused on the one thing that he could control: his effort. As a rookie in the 2017 season, Pascal surprised everyone by earning a spot in the starting lineup on opening night, and he showed just why he was selected. He brought hustle and defense, though his skills were still pretty raw at this stage. He himself often recalls how lost he felt at times on the court that first year. He was still learning the NBA game, and mid-season the team actually assigned him to the minor league affiliate Raptors 905 for more experience. Remember, his NBA debut wasn't just the first NBA game he had participated in, it was the first NBA game that he had ever seen in person. At first though, Pascal was crushed. Going to the minor leagues after tasting the NBA life seemed like a downgrade, but he had no intention of giving up. Throughout his entire life, he had to fight through everything, and this was no different. With that resilient mindset, Pascal transformed a setback into motivation. He dominated the developmental league, leading the Raptors 905 to a championship and earning Finals MVP honors in the G League in 2017. In that crazy year, he had gone from a homesick rookie to a minor league champion, and that taste of victory only made him hungrier for more. By his second season in the NBA, Pascal had carved out a role for himself. He was the energetic guy who was first off Toronto's bench. He became part of the Raptors' famous bench mob, a young second unit that often outplayed the starters. Fans loved Pascal's energy and even gave him a nickname, Spicy P. It was a name that was supposed to match the intensity he brought to the game. It's like he took a sniff of pepper and then just went straight onto an NBA court. Unlimited work rate from this guy. Every night he sprinted up and down the floor, using his long reach to smother the opponents on defense, and even began to show flashes of offensive growth. He still wasn't a great shooter. In fact, at one point he was statistically among the worst three-point shooters in the league. But the thing about Pascal is he was never discouraged. He was willing to put in the work. His coaches saw how tirelessly he practiced, hundreds of shots day after day, and as a result, they always believed in his trajectory. Like I said earlier, Masai Ujiri had first discovered Pascal at a Basketball Without Borders camp years earlier, so he knew that Pascal had that ability in him, but even he shook his head in amazement at how far Pascal had come. People knew he could be a good NBA player, but they didn't know he could become an elite one. For Pascal, everything began to change in the 2018-2019 season, a year that would become the stuff of fairy tales for both Siakam and the Toronto Raptors. That year, the Raptors got Kawhi Leonard, and they instantly transformed into an elite team. But while everyone knew that Toronto as a team were good, no one could have predicted that Siakam would become the team's second star. Pascal had entered training camp that year determined to make a leap, and boy, what a leap he took. He became a full-time starter and was a two-way force. He was able to defend 1 through 5, he ran fast breaks like a gazelle, and now he had polished moves in the paint. Each month his confidence grew, and soon he was posting career-high scoring nights. Thanks to this jump from Siakam and Kawhi Leonard being the robot that he is, the Raptors finished the season with one of the best NBA records. Pascal had been so good that he was now the front runner for the league's most improved player award. But the true test came in the playoffs. Pascal had never been on such a stage, yet quickly he found out that he actually thrives under pressure. The Raptors battled through round after round, and Pascal had standout moments in every single stage. One of his best performances was his 25-point, 11-rebound effort in a double overtime thriller against Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was the win that sent Toronto to its first ever NBA Finals. If that had been the climax, it would have already been a dream for Pascal, but he was not done writing history. In Game 1 of the 2019 NBA Finals, Pascal looked across the court at the Golden State Warriors and felt no fear. He didn't care that they were a dynasty, that they had a Defensive Player of the Year like Draymond Green. Instead, he put on a performance for the ages. He scored 32 points on near perfect shooting, 14 of 17 shots made to lead the Raptors to victory. Suddenly, almost overnight, the whole basketball world now knew Pascal Siakam's name. Then in Game 6 of the Finals, Pascal rose again to the occasion, this time putting up 26 points and 10 rebounds, and even hitting the clutch basket in the final moments over Draymond Green to help seal the win. Now, we all know how Draymond Green is. He rarely gives credit to the other team, but listen to how he talked about Pascal Siakam's performance from that night.
When we played Toronto, his championship that Shaq's been talking about, he destroyed me.
When the buzzer sounded, the Raptors had become NBA champions for the first time in the franchise's history. And in the heart of it all was Pascal, an improbable hero, raising the Larry O'Brien trophy high amongst the confetti and tears of joy. He had also earned the 2019 NBA Most Improved Player award that season, becoming the first player ever to win that honor and a championship in the same year. Amongst all the celebration, Pascal paused and looked at the heavens. In that joyous moment, he really did feel his father's presence. It was a triumph born from years of struggle, years of putting in the relentless work. Think about it, Pascal Siakam had gone from a kid who nearly quit basketball, someone who could barely dribble a ball, to an NBA champion. And what's crazy is that he was only getting started. Now, winning the championship was a high point, but new challenges soon emerged. After the Raptors' unbelievable 2019 title run, the team's superstar Kawhi Leonard left, and suddenly Pascal was thrust into the role of being Toronto's go-to guy. Before, he had been an unbelievable second star, but now he was the face of the franchise. He embraced the challenge and actually started strong. He was scoring more than ever before, and he even earned his first All-Star selection in 2020, becoming the first G League alumni to start an NBA All-Star game. By season's end, he was named to the All-NBA second team, confirming to everyone that he was among the league's elite. It seemed that everything Pascal touched turned into gold, yet just as he once learned in seminary, life would test him again. When COVID-19 struck in 2020, the NBA moved into the bubble, and the world of basketball turned upside down. For Pascal, the 2020 playoffs in the bubble were a real struggle. Isolated from family and normal life, he lost his usual joy and rhythm. There was nowhere he could go to practice with the ball, nowhere where he could work on his game. The defending champions ended up falling short in the playoffs that year, and Pascal shouldered most of the criticism, not just because he was the face of the franchise, but because he was incredibly underwhelming. For the first time in his young career, he began to face a wave of doubt from fans and the media who wondered if he could truly be a franchise cornerstone. The next season wasn't any easier. The Raptors had to play all of their home games in Tampa, Florida due to travel restrictions, essentially living on the road all year. The team struggled, and Pascal once again faced adversity. He got COVID himself, had to deal with some nagging injuries, and even had a brief team suspension after a heated exchange with Nick Nurse. The frustrations of losing were bubbling, and Pascal knew that he could play much better. These were humbling times, but true to his character, Pascal met these low points with reflection and, more importantly, hard work. He learned from his mistakes and focused on returning back to the levels that he had shown before. But the journey back to the top wasn't going to be that easy. In the summer of 2021, he underwent surgery for a shoulder injury, forcing him to miss the start of the 2021-2022 season. When he returned, there was rust and uncertainty, yet another hurdle to overcome. Slowly but surely, though, he played himself back into form. By the end of that season, Pascal was quietly reminding everyone who he was. He was putting up career-high numbers and dominating teams again. His stats were so well-rounded now. He could score, but he was also getting rebounds and assists. Just look at his performance on the 25th of January, where he got 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 12 assists against the Charlotte Hornets. As a result of these performances, he earned All-NBA honors again, and the Raptors made it back to the playoffs. Now, unfortunately, they didn't reach the heights of 2019, but Pascal had re-established himself as one of the best players in the league. He had also grown not just as a player, but as a leader, mentoring the younger teammates and showing his professionalism through all the ups and downs. He really was the beating heart of the Raptors, a player who had given everything to the franchise. The next season, he was an NBA All-Star once again. That signature spin move of his was destroying teams. People made fun of him, calling him the Beyblade, but hey, when it works, it works. But despite his individual brilliance, the Raptors as a team were at a crossroad. They were basically stuck around the middle of the pack. They had a top quality player in Pascal Siakam, but the rest of the team around him was not good enough to contend for a title. But they also weren't bad enough to tank. Stuck in limbo, change was in the air. So Masai Ujiri decided to make a move. Midway through the 2023-2024 season, he made the difficult decision to trade their homegrown superstar. It was a blockbuster move that sent Pascal Siakam to the Pacers, a young team on the rise. For Pascal, it was a bittersweet moment. Toronto had been his first NBA home, the city where he became a champion, the place where he learned what it took to become a top NBA player. But he also understood that this was an opportunity for rejuvenation, a chance to bring his veteran leadership and winning experience to a hungry Pacers squad. He was gonna miss Toronto, but now he was in an environment where he could actually compete for a title. As soon as he arrived in Indiana, he immediately embraced his role as a team leader. He was no longer the wide-eyed rookie who didn't know where to be on the NBA court, or the understudy just trying to learn the game. He was now a seasoned champion, expected to guide a new generation. And from the moment he put on the Pacers jersey, you could just feel it. Something had changed. He wasn't just a new signing for them, he was the missing piece. Teaming up with Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal brought something that Indiana had been searching for, a second scorer and someone who had championship experience. His new head coach Rick Carlisle didn't hold back. He said publicly that the Siakam trade took their team to another level. And he was right. The young Pacers squad all looked up to him. They called him P skills. And it's not hard to see why. Whether it was a fadeaway, a layup in transition, or now even shooting the three, Siakam can punish teams in a variety of ways. And even now when his offensive game has gone so much better, he still has that hustle in him. He's still always the first to practice. He dives for loose balls. He never takes a play off. Even after winning a title in Toronto, Pascal still plays like he has something to prove. And that mentality rubbed off on the other guys because the Pacers started to climb. They played fast, unselfish basketball with a purpose, and Pascal fit in perfectly. During the 2024-2025 season, he quietly had one of the best years of his career, averaging about 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists per game while doing it very efficiently. He never forced anything, he always found the right play. It was easier for him now. On Toronto, everybody would put their attention on Siakam, and since the rest of the guys couldn't shoot, there would be no space for him. But on the Pacers, there was space everywhere because everybody can shoot, everybody can score. And so it was no surprise that when All-Star Weekend rolled around, there he was again, chosen as an All-Star for the 3rd time, but this time as an Indiana Pacer. The real magic though didn't come until the playoffs. The Pacers had been here before. They had gone close, but not close enough. Yet this time with Pascal leading them, it felt different. He was calm when the pressure rose. He destroyed the Milwaukee Bucks just like he did when he was on the Raptors. He was too big, too strong, too fast for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then against the Knicks, they had nobody that could guard him. He scored for fun. He hit clutch shots. Defensively, on one play he would guard Brunson, then on another guard Cat. He would get a free 2 points in transition and then make a massive block on the other end. When you see these performances, it's not surprising to see him be named as the Eastern Conference Finals MVP as the Pacers defeated the Knicks in just 6 games. Pascal was smiling. He remembered 2019, the last time that he had reached the NBA Finals. He admitted that that year was his 3rd year in the league and he thought it was easy to get back to the final. But now he knows just how difficult it really is, and it makes him appreciate it more. This was the same kid from Cameroon who didn't even want to play basketball, the same boy who lost his father while chasing a dream, the same rookie who got sent to the G League and nearly gave up. And now he was a multiple-time All-Star, a champion, a mentor, one of the very best players in the NBA. Pascal Siakam's journey is proof of one thing: greatness doesn't come easy, but with heart, resilience, and perseverance, anyone can achieve their dreams. While Tyrese Halliburton is following the same motto. To see how he went from being labeled overrated to one of the best point guards in the NBA, you gotta check out this video right here.